Tuija Seipell is a Finnish-born international business consultant, speaker and writer who has lived and worked in North America for 30 years, the last 23 of them in Vancouver, Canada. She is the world's widest read Finnish blogger, best known for her work over the past 8 years as a senior writer of The Cool Hunter blog, www.thecoolhunter.net, followed by more than 2 million people per month around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tuija Seipell.
Eimehän saadaanko me taas teknologiaongelmia? Toimiiko nämä? Okei. No, yksi asia jo toimii. Sillä ajalla, kun tässä taistellaan teknologian kanssa, I should be speaking in Finnish. In the period that it takes for the guys to get the technology going, I will take this opportunity, because I am the last speaker of this 2-day series, to take a moment to thank the organizers of Arctic Design Week and to make sure that they are recognized, not just the organizers and the people who are doing the background work, but the people who are in charge of financing this, who are in charge of making sure that this will continue, that its 5th year is not its last year. So, thank you. I am also modeling Minna Parikka shoes, so whoever wants to see them, unfortunately there's a little bit of an edge here, but I wear Minna Parikka shoes a lot, and I'm not a pink person at all, but I just fell in love with them, and I truly loved her presentation. I think she's on a very right track. I will want to start from showing this image, which I picked up a couple of weeks ago from a Rovaniemi tourism blog on Facebook. And I looked at the image, and it was beautiful. It was cropped a bit differently. There was even more of the white space. And until I noticed the Finnish title of the picture, which was Jänis piilossa, which is bunny hiding, a rabbit hiding, wow, there is a rabbit in there. I indeed did not notice that there is a rabbit in that picture. And to me, if we want to think of Arctic design, this is it. It doesn't get any better. And the American President Theodore Roosevelt said, he was one of the very first, very active promoters of the national park concept that was in fact created in America. And he was in power from 1901 to 1908. And when he was looking at the Yellowstone area, which wasn't a national park at the time, he said, leave it as it is. You cannot improve on it. Age has been at work on it. Man can only mar it. And I think to me, that could be a very good slogan for Arctic design as well, that how much can we take away? It very much goes with some of the ideas that our Japanese guest was talking about today, of sort of the understanding the beauty in what is not there. And in fact, I found out yesterday, reading a magazine in the hotel, that in fact Mrs. Roosevelt has something to do with the Rovaniemi area too, because she was here at the opening of something in the Santa village. Well, the clicker doesn't work. Maybe if I turned it on, that would help. I have titled my presentation, Cold is Cool, and I do believe it is. I'd rather stay in warm areas, which is probably one of the reasons why I live where I live, but cold is in fact quite cool, and there's a lot of sex appeal in the struggle of living in the cold areas, in the beauty of the nature, many other things. I hope some of the things that I'm going to talk about today will help you agree with me, if there is anybody who disagrees. I hope there isn't. As the presentation or the introduction explained, I've lived in North America for 30 years, in fact 23 of them in Vancouver. I've operated my own company most of that time, And most of my time goes into consulting, into working with companies, clarifying their strategies, their customer experience in particular. I'm very much fascinated by it, and it is also one of those areas that will never be completely finished and done. There's always, we as consumers, customers, and users know that it is never perfect, or it is very seldom perfect. Our experience as customers is very seldom totally satisfactory. So we know there's a lot of work to do there. I also do speaking, as you can see, and then writing. And in the writing part, I'll tell you a little bit about my background because of the fact that that of course affects my perspective with how I look at these things. The coolhunter.net is I believe it's the world's oldest blog of its kind, and it was established 8 years ago by an Australian man by the name of Bill Tikos, and I have been the senior writer for just over 8 years, so I've been involved quite from the beginning. It is a blog that sometimes is called a trend site, but it's not really trends. We don't follow trends, we don't really care about trends all that much. It's a very personal thing. It is more of what I would call a museum from the point of view of it is very strictly the opinion of those of us who are involved. So it isn't necessarily somebody else's call. But clearly it is quite a few people who agree with that because it has, in fact, 2.5 million readers a month and more than 8 million viewers for some of the most popular articles. I'm showing some of these other numbers for interest's sake. The 200,000 subscribers of the newsletter, that is an important part because those are the subscribers are the people who represent the rest of the media. So print media, TV, all around the world. So if somebody's work or art ends up presented on this site, it will be seen by pretty much everybody you want to be seen at. So we have created trends by giving exposure, and that is the fun part of the work, of course, to give that opportunity to deserving, from our point of view, cool things. The Facebook fan number is ridiculously low, as you can see. About 6 months ago, we had almost 800,000 Facebook fans, and Facebook decided to close our page. And we will not have the time to discuss it. It's a long and sordid story. What I have learned from it, of course, and what I will want to tell anybody here is that what you have on Facebook, your assets, especially if you're a business or an organization, make sure you have those assets somewhere else as well. Facebook owns them. They can close your page. There is very little you can do about it. So make sure you have those images or those contacts somewhere else as well so that you don't lose a lot in a very, very quick, short move that is pretty much impossible to fight. The most popular topics are architecture, design, of course, retail. This is actually an Aesop shop in Sydney, I believe. Art, this is an interesting part in that sense that a few years ago this would have been marketing or advertising. That was something that we also wrote about. Today there are so many other sites that do that, and also we've sort of lost interest following that all that much. Plus clearly the readership is interested in public art in particular, and this is, for example, a building in Christchurch, New Zealand, where the earthquake ruined a lot of beautiful buildings that cannot be repaired again. And an artist was invited to create murals while the ruins were still there to showcase the people who used to work and live in those buildings. So street art has become very, very interesting and popular, and then travel, of course. So that's a little bit of my background. And this is an image that made me smile when I saw your image. In that sense that last year when I was here speaking to this at the Design Week, I had thought about what is Arctic design? Like, what do I know about Arctic design? What is it? What does it mean? And I usually use something visual to help myself think through it. And all I could think of was something like this. Again, to me it meant something very not there, something that is simple in a beautiful way, something that is not complicated, and something that is serene, something that has space in it, something that has that mystery, leaves you with that sense of awe because there is so much there and still there is absolutely nothing there. And then I, of course, wrote words in my own head, being a writer. What does it mean? What words come to my mind? And I repeat this from last year because it clearly resonated with a lot of people. I got a lot of comments about it. Many people felt that I had sort of covered a lot of the same that they had thought. So the words that, and I'm thinking of Arctic design here. Not just the Arctic, but Arctic design. And I talked to a lot of other people through my network of people all around the world, not just designers, but others, specifically others, because I wanted to get a sense of what does Arctic design mean to just somebody who really doesn't know much about it. And what was so interesting was that we all thought about just the part Arctic. That was so powerful. It wasn't the design, it was the Arctic. And then what I often do when I get to try to understand a new concept is I try to think of what is it not? What is Arctic design not? And I found myself again looking for images, and I found myself finding images like these. And what startled me is that I could just as well have chosen images that are not Arctic design, but are beautiful. I could have chosen a lush forest. I could have chosen a Mayan beautiful fabric. But I went for something ugly. I went for something that to me felt ugly, which meant that Arctic meant something beautiful. Which also, then as I went back to talking to a lot of people about what is the emotion behind there, and the more we discussed, people started talking about, things are still okay out there. The Arctic part of Arctic design carries a lot of hope in it. There is hope that there is a place somewhere out there where a cute creature that's like this can still survive, where we haven't ruined everything, where there still is silence, where there still is something that is pristine and clean and clear and wonderful. We haven't messed up this whole place yet. And you carry that on your shoulders. Arctic areas carry a lot of that hope. Proudly you should, and you should use it, and I know you do. But it's a big responsibility. And so what that sort of semi-research that I did led me to think that clearly Arctic is a brand. And the Arctic design is even a stronger brand, because a brand is something that evokes emotion. A brand is emotion. A brand is trust. And I believe that the Arctic design brand in particular has a very strong trust behind it, and it is the people who work here, who create things, their job to make sure that the trust doesn't get broken, that the customer, the user, the tourist, the whatever who use the products, come here to visit, that they don't get disappointed. There are also a lot of trends going on, and I just said that I don't follow trends, and here I go. But these are bigger trends. These are not about whether the color of next month is peach or plum. These are bigger trends that have taken shape over some years and that are not going to go away. These are not fads. These are bigger things. People are tired of visual clutter. You see it more and more in places that it didn't used to matter much, which is why editing and curating and simplifying, which is why the Cool Hunter, which we call TCH, site is also very popular. That is part of that, because we tend to go very clean, very simple, pared down. Speed, people are tired of speed. Everything is coming at you all the time. We are looking for silence. Green, organic, sustainable, all of that is popular and will become more popular. It becomes a necessity. It is a necessity already, but it will not go away. Less is more. All sorts of ways of letting that, what is not there, be the luxury. Not more, but less. Minimalism is probably more in vogue now than it has been ever before. throwing away things, doing things that only can be used once, being wasteful, that is no longer in vogue, and it has become even more of a problem since the last so-called recession that we had, that people felt that buying more doesn't make any sense. You have to buy good and keep it rather than just keep consuming. Also, there's a lot of TV series, programs, movies, stuff about the Arctic struggle, and even drama series, certainly in North America, about, you know, Arctic air and all sorts of things. So there's a real fascination by that. And we crave all these things because our lives are so chaotic. So if ever Arctic and Arctic design were popular, they are popular now, and they are going to be more popular. They are going to be the things that you can do here by using the Arctic design as a brand. They have a very, very bright future. That is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about the Rovaniemi Design Week. I think you are on to something. Having gone through that part, I also then, just this past 2 weeks, I have been looking at things that just come to me through the daily work that I do. And amazingly, that has also shown me that cold is in fact quite cool. Because in so many different venues, I have seen things that clearly are Arctic and cool. This, for example, I picked this up from an architecture blog just a couple of weeks ago. It is this Halley 6 subarctic research station that is floating somewhere out there in the ocean that opened February 5th. But this was on an architecture site. And the copy wrote very excitingly about the process, how the architect ended up building it and all that. But clearly it's pretty cool. We can argue whether it's beautiful, whatever, that's not the point. The point is that it was in an architecture site and people were fascinated by it. I love this picture. The caption of this image was something like, "The summer staff has arrived." And I thought it's so funny to look at a picture like that and use the word summer. Somehow that just isn't quite summer to me. This one was in a retail site, and it is a ice castle at the previous version was at of all places, the Mall of America in Minnesota. This is in another place, but also in the U.S. But it's ice, it's cold, it's cool. I was invited to the maiden voyage of the Viking Grace cruise ship that certainly those who are Finns have probably heard about. It is a designer cruise ship that crosses from Turku to Stockholm and back. And we don't get into that now, but it's an interesting business story altogether. But I wasn't on the maiden ship, but I was on a maiden journey, but on a week later I had the opportunity, because I happened to be in Finland again in January. And what I found myself doing, this is one of my own images, was just being fascinated by the beauty of the islands as we were sailing. That, you know, yeah, the ship was cool too, but the scenery was absolutely amazing. And I saw there were a lot of other people taking pictures like crazy. It was just absolutely beautiful. These summer houses or whatever, they might even be just ordinary houses. And this is also from the ship. This is the ice cave that you can go into after your sauna and your jacuzzi and your spa treatments and whatever. That's cool. That is really cool, and it's definitely ice. This I picked up from a travel site called Journey Woman, which is actually a very plain-looking site. It is not visually beautiful, but it's read by a whole bunch of people. It's actually a Canadian woman who writes it, who created it some years ago. And she was on an Antarctica trip somewhere, and she posted these absolutely amazing pictures, and people were commenting and going absolutely crazy about it. The fascination by that was clearly there. So it wasn't just me seeing these, but it was also the reaction of the other people that sort of struck to me as interesting. This is your own ice hotel. The picture, the image is again by the local photographer. Are you here? Is the photographer here? Say something if you're here. No? He said he might be able to. I've never met him. I just love his images. this is again a local ice hotel, and again, if that's not cool, then what is? To me, it is just fascinating. And in my most favorite place, Disneyland. Everybody who knows me knows that I absolutely love Disney. I use Walt Disney as my mentor, as my guide, as my shining star. He is the original design thinker, if there ever was one. His entrepreneurial way of doing things is without equal in my mind. And I love Disneyland. It turned 60 in 2015, so it's 60 years old. And because I live in Vancouver, it's fairly close to me. And it is also the place where Walt actually was present himself. He died before Disney World opened, which was the second one. It is also compact in size compared to Walt Disney World in Florida. But even there, I was there in December. I go not quite once a month, but almost. And I also lead business trips to there with managers where we learn how to create that customer experience that is so completely coherent and everything is part of it. To me, that's totally goes with the fact that I love silence, I love pristine environments, I love nature, but I also love Disneyland because they give me the same thing. Everything that is there belongs there. And there's nothing else there. There's nothing there that doesn't belong there. Disney is so good at doing that, eliminating everything that does not belong in your experience in being in Disneyland. Even there, in December, at the end of every day, this is the Princess Cinderella Castle in its Christmas decoration, so it's quite wonderful, has, of course, fake snow on it, and is quite lovely. Even there, at the end of every day, there is the fireworks, and then everything quiets down. And I'm crying when I talk about it because it's so beautiful. Everything calms down, everything quiets down, and when the fireworks are ending, they play I'm dreaming of the White Christmas. The lights go dim, and it starts to snow in California. And I cry for two reasons. I cry because it's pretty cool, plus it's real snow. It is not soap, it is not popcorn pieces, it's real snow. It's made with water and cold. And I cry because Walt would be so happy if he could have seen it. He loved creating impossible things. If he knew that the guys are creating snowfalls in California every night, he would have cheered. So even there, cold is cool. Even there, people stop and they cry and they feel emotionally somehow attached to this beauty of snow. And of course, the boss himself loves snow altogether more than anybody else. So what I'm trying to say here is that cold is very cool. But what is difficult, of course, is how do you deliver the kinds of experiences to your customers? And I'm not just thinking of tourists coming here. I'm even thinking business-to-business customers. How do you deliver what they expect? What are their expectations based on? Their expectations are not based on what you have promised them. Their expectations are based on what somebody much better than you has promised. They have already experienced, say, Disney or some other place where they got what they wanted. So their expectations are here. And if you come just this much underneath that when you deliver, you have disappointed. The amazing thing is that the expectations remain here, but if you can be just a tiny, teeny bit over and deliver a little bit more, you have a good thing going. Walt Disney's design philosophy was that give them more than they can see, and they will keep coming back over and over again. Give them more than they can see. So always give more than they expect, and understand that the expectations of the customer are not based on what you have promised. They are based on what somebody who has already done what you have done has done it better. So I know I'm threading dangerous ground here, so this may be my last visit to Rovaniemi forever, but nobody has stones here, so throw something soft if you wish to stone me off the stage. Santa Claus is a mythological being. He is religious being. He is Saint Nicholas. He is the real guy. He lives here, doesn't he? Yes, somebody believes in Santa Claus. He lives here. I totally believe in Santa Claus. But he's the real deal. I want to see this guy. I don't want to see the plastic Santa Claus at the airport. It does not belong there. And it may sound funny from somebody who loves Disneyland to say, okay, like plastic doesn't work. Yes, it works there. But this is the real Santa Claus. This is not the fake Santa Claus. This is not the shopping center Santa Claus. This is the real deal. This is the man who is a messenger of world peace, of friendship, of love. This is not about gifts and goods. This is about much bigger things. So the plastic Santa has to go. And it's still there. And I took pictures of it when I arrived on Tuesday, and I was so shocked. It's still there. I thought it was something that was left there because, it was on its way to the garbage bin or something. But no, it's still there. And many other people took pictures of it. Maybe I was the only one who took a picture of it because I thought it was awful. Maybe everybody else took a picture of it because they thought it was lovely. And it sure is Santa Claus. You can recognize it. It still doesn't belong there. Let's not get too hung up with this because I could get really into trouble. But I want to see this guy. I want to see the real Santa Claus. And let's talk about Peter the Wolf. Peter the Wolf, he's a stuffed little toy. He has a lot of friends. Maybe that's his family. But this is Peter himself. He's the cutest of them all. And I travel a lot, and I try to buy very little. Usually I end up buying shoes or some other stuff like that, but I also buy things that are totally unique, that are different, that nobody else can have made, that cannot be bought somewhere else. Peter the Wolf was made in China, which is not a bad thing, but that's where Peter comes from. Do you know where I'm going with this? Yes, you do. I have seen Peter at the Vancouver Aquarium gift shop. I have seen Peter at a zoo shop in Seattle. I have seen Peter in many, many places, and when I came here last year, I saw Peter in Lapland. As a consumer, I want something that is uniquely this. I have come this far to find something unique, something that is not somewhere else. And as cute as Peter is, I don't know. I would tend to think that there are many arguments, and I know why people sell them. I even know why people buy them. But the point is that when you decide who your customer is and what you want them to do and why you want them to come back, you really have to make a decision, is that what you want to represent? So I would tend to leave things as they are. And it's, of course, easy to say coming from the outside and all that, but I think that that is the uniqueness of this place. That is the uniqueness of the Arctic, not just here in Lapland, but elsewhere. That cold, cool thing that if you know how to use it, if you use it bravely, if you use it honestly, if you deliver an authentic experience, your business will succeed. I have no doubt about that. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. I hope that there was a lot of thinking and a lot of ideas for you what is Arctic design and what we have here in the Arctic. I'm sure that if you have questions, you can ask those from our guests who will be here Somebody will be a minute and somebody will be the rest of the week. But before you go, I would proudly will show you our partners of Rovaniemi Design Week. Thank you of this seminar, and there is 2 team groups after this. The internationalization is in the auditorium, and team group is about the Arctic design and research in the Arctic is here in Polari. And if you want to eat lunch in here, you can buy the lunch ticket from the auditorium where is the lunch. So thank you very much. I hope that you have a great time in the morning and have a good lunch and team group in the afternoon. Now, partners.